Welcome to Ignite Success. I'm your host, Snowden McFall, and you're going to find that there are some terrific women here on this show. This is a show for First Coast women who kindle new ideas, spark change, and fire up our community. Today, we have 3 segments that you're going to love. One is on mental health and women in particular, and how depression is impacting our world. You're also going to learn about how to get venture capital and grow your business to the next level. And then finally, I find as a 6-time author, people ask me all the time, how do you get started writing a book? Well, we've got 2 great women to show you how to get started writing a book and how to ghost write a book if you need that service. So sit back and enjoy.
Hey, let me tell you about my friend Craig O'Neill. He's the official photographer here at Buzz Media. He specializes in commercial photography for all those kind of needs. Check him out online at craigo'neillphotography.com. And if you're lucky, you get a sweet lid like I have.
Welcome to Blazing Trails, and with me today is Mindy Barker of Mindy Barker and Associates. And Mindy has written a new book called Pitching to Win. And Mindy, I know you've worked a long time in this field and this arena, and we're going to talk today about women getting access to venture capital, because I know, I've been in business for over 30 years, and I remember when I first started my company, getting any kind of funding for a woman-owned business was just darn near impossible. Have things changed much?
Things have changed, and you have to remember there are people that are still alive today that had to have a male co-sign with them in order to get a loan.
Well, I'll tell you something funny. When I paid off my corporate loans in New Hampshire before I moved to Florida, they made my husband release it. My husband had nothing to do with my business ever, but they made him sign a release, which shocked me.
Yes, I saw a female entrepreneur talk about that she had to have her 17-year-old son co-sign because her husband had left her and she was divorced. And in order to get a loan with the bank, she had to have a male sign. So her 17-year-old son had to go downtown to the bank and sign.
Oh my
So
God.
The ridiculousness of that is just crazy. But it has changed. And further, the females that are entering the entrepreneur world are increasing quite a bit.
It's a huge number of women, right? It's over 10 million businesses worldwide that are owned by women, right?
Right. But that number is going up.
Right, consistently.
So
much faster than men-owned business, right?
Correct. And as the women enter the entrepreneur world, they're going to need to educate themselves how to play in that world so that they are ready for funding. You have to have the right type of infrastructure, the right kind of data, and the right kind of attitude to move a company forward. If you're just a lifer and you have a business that works with your lifestyle to pay your bills ongoing, and you're not ready to grow the business huge like Uber, for example, that's a huge life-changing experience. But a private equity or a venture capital investor, that's what they want to invest in. They want to put in this much money and get this much money out. And that's not going to happen in a lifestyle business.
Now, from what I understand, most of the venture capital companies in this country are owned by men. And they give most of their loans out to women. To men, not to women.
Right.
And so what's a way for a woman to get around that?
Well, you have to think about it strategically. Just like you're thinking about building a business effectively, you have to think about strategically, how do I get in front of these people? It's all about relationships. Even though we have tons of social media, we have tons of platforms where you can post your business plans. Honestly, most deals get done because of relationships and people that know people. I'm a member of Association for Corporate Growth here in Jacksonville. And entrepreneurs can come to that event, and there are private equity, venture capital, investment bankers, attorneys, all types of people that are in the M&A ecosystem. Networking, making sure you're at the right place at the right time, listening. A lot of entrepreneurs are very confident in what they're doing. And sometimes that leads them to a little bit in the narcissistic side. And so they don't listen to people very well.
So they have to be good listeners.
They have to be a good listener. The investor has to know that they're going to open their mind a little bit, because it is a learning opportunity. I mean, actually, I've had a lot of learning opportunities with me owning my own business over the past 8 years. And there are a lot of things that I do today that are part of my infrastructure that if you had told me 8 years ago they were going to be, I would have said no way. But I try to listen to my mentors. I've hired a business coach. I've done all types of things to think outside of myself to make my business better. Entrepreneurs have to open their mind up and show those potential investors that they're willing to do that.
It's really important. I noticed, I think I sent you an article, there's a woman in California in the Silicon Valley space, Arlen Hamilton, who's African American, and she is now giving loans exclusively to black women because minority women also have such a difficult time getting funding. So if someone wanted to get venture capital funding, do you consult with them on how to pitch to win?
Yes. And that is part of my book, is how to put together the pitch deck. And I actually coach people even on what to wear, how to manage the room, how to react to the original information you get from investors as they request you to move through their process. Remember, they have a process. Right? And if you, again, when that narcissistic stuff starts taking over and you think, well, I know my company, I know the best way to present it to you, I'm not going to pay any attention to all those emails about how to prep for this. That's not right. You need to understand it's their ball field and play to it, and put together your presentation so you can succinctly communicate what your business is about and how they are going to be able to invest, again, this much money, and they're going to get this much money out, and that you're willing and ready to act as an entrepreneur, a CEO, even if it means that you're going to move to a founder position and they're going to hire a CEO to get to the next level. So
how would someone get a hold of you, Mindy?
Well, they can go to my website, and there is a very nice contact page there. There's also testimonials and some information about my services.
So that's Mindy Barker and Associates.com?
Yes.
And is the "and" spelled out?
Yes.
So thank you so much for being with us,
Thank
Mindy.
you.
We really appreciate this. This is the Blazing Trails segment of Ignite Success, and we're hoping that you'll blaze your own trail and get the venture capital you need to start your business and share your gifts with the world.
Big event or party at your home or business? The Jacksonville Party Company. Stress-free, flawless, and memorable. Whether it's for children, a retirement, a wedding, or other social or professional activity, it's stress-free, flawless, and memorable when you involve the Jacksonville Party Company. Contact them today to get your event launched at jacksonvillepartycompany.com.
This is the Feed Your Fire segment, where we talk about health and wellness and things that will keep your internal fire going. With me today, I have Wendy Hughes, who is CEO of Mental Health America for North Florida, and Sherry Warner. Welcome, ladies. So happy to have you here. So, Wendy, how big a problem is mental health for women?
It is a significant problem. Two-thirds women have mental health issues more than men. Women typically experience mental health issues more than men, typically more because of the hormonal issues that we go through. We experience a lot of trauma-related issues, whether that be through childbirth, menstrual issues, whether that's menopausal issues as we go into our later stages of life. A lot of women go through trauma related to sexual trauma issues.
And 12 million women annually are depressed?
Right. And, the sad truth is that many of those women go undiagnosed.
Wow.
And that for us at Mental Health America is the hardest thing that we deal with.
Right.
And don't seek treatment.
And don't seek treatment. And that's what we advocate for from an advocacy perspective.
Is to get that treatment.
It is to make sure that people understand that treatment options are available and that people can seek help and do seek help because help is out.
So you have a personal interest in this, I know, from your family and your
Yes.
personal background. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I lived with a father who went undiagnosed for approximately 20 years with manic depressive disorder, and living as a child with a father who experienced that, and not knowing what that was, growing up, and then getting to see him later in life. Receive treatment and what a wonderful thing that was for him, but knowing what that could have meant for him if he
Right.
had sought treatment earlier in life, and how that could have improved his quality of life if he had been able to get treatment earlier, what that could have meant for the family and the
Right.
quality of life for the family
As well.
if he had been able to get that treatment. And
Well-
given that, I have also faced my own battles with depression. At age 30, I faced that issue myself. So for the last 15 years, I've been living with major depressive disorder myself.
So you've come up with solutions to deal with that.
Yes.
So Sherry, what might some of those solutions be? How do you work with people who have depression issues or any other mental health issues?
Well, I think there is this misunderstanding that, you take medication and all is well. Medication is just a piece of the puzzle, however, and any doctor will tell you that. You have to look at the circumstances and the things that you have going on in your lives to help yourself with wellness. And that can be from changing toxic relationships to finding out what your own wellness tools are, to becoming educated, therapy. All kinds of things can go into that wellness toolbox. So when I work with youth and families, my job is I teach mental health first aid so that people can understand what's happening, why it's happening, how to talk to somebody that is suicidal, depressed, and be able to give resources. I also teach a class called WRAP, it's Wellness Recovery Action Planning, and that kind of ties everything together where someone can learn how to notice their symptoms and make a plan for what to do when they encounter
someone who's dealing with depression.
somebody who's or for themselves.
Right.
Yes, and so it takes you through that and gives you a daily maintenance plan, but also a maintenance plan or an action plan to go to when things start breaking down.
So how could someone get a hold of you folks to get help with this? What's the best website or email?
So on our website right now, we have all of our classes for mental health first aid. We've got half of them that are caring for youth, half of them that are for caring for adults, and you can find those through www.mhajax.org, and it will send you to our Facebook page that has the events listed out for the entire year, and you can register that way, or you can go on mentalhealthfirstaid.org and search in your zip code just to find a class in your area. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here. This is a very big issue. By the year 2020, the World Health Organization says depression will be the #1 illness facing people in the world. So it's a big issue. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And coming right up, we'll be going into our next segment, and we're looking forward to hearing more about trailblazers. Welcome to Success Sparks, where we interview women who are sparking success. With me today I have Jennifer Nelson and Diane Faulkner, and we're going to talk today about writing a book. As a professional speaker and 6-time author, people are always asking me, how do I write my book? I want to get started writing my book. Well, we're going to discuss that because all three of us are writers and authors, and we want to find out the easiest way for you to begin with your book. So Jennifer, you wrote a book several years ago called Airbrush, is that correct?
Airbrush Nation.
Airbrush Nation.
And the subtitle's The Lore and Loathing of Women's Magazines.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I wrote for women's magazines for most of my early career, and about a decade in, I had a daughter who was approaching her teen years, and she was starting to read all of the magazines that I was coming in to my house, and we started to realize that the message that women's magazines put out had some problems.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Yes, and so there's a lot of self-esteem, like 1 in 3 women have lower self-esteem after reading articles in women's magazines, and there's a constant focus on improving yourself, perfecting your diet, and pleasing your husband or your partner, that kind of thing. And so there's a lot of negative. So I then did a tell-all and wrote a whole book about the negative.
And magazines do airbrush women. Like I've read, they will change their cheekbones, they'll change, and several celebrity women have fought against this, right?
Yes. There's been many celebrities that come out and say, I don't want to be airbrushed,
right.
And don't do it. And it's sometimes policy.
Yeah,
that is how they operate.
And frequently they do it without asking permission, right?
Frequently, yes.
So how does somebody start writing a book? I know when people ask me that, what I always say is, the first thing I recommend people do, in addition to jotting down an outline and their key message, is they take their phone with them and start dictating, because they can transcribe. Get it transcribed, and then they can edit from there. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's what you all would recommend. What would you say, Jennifer?
Well, as a writer who was writing articles and magazine stories for years before I wrote the book, I had kind of the background. But if you're just coming to it and you have a story in yourself, you want to start, there's so many ways to start. Find a mentor, seek some support, join an organization where other writers are working, all kinds of ways. See how your story's different. Find out what's already written about the topic you want to write about. Those kind of things are great places to start to begin, if your story is even worthy of a book. Sometimes it's just published for your family, or a memoir of what you went through when you were younger, and nobody would really want to read it beside your family. Other times you have an incredible story to tell that can be put into a book form, and so you should pursue it.
So Diane, I know you do a lot of ghostwriting,
right,
and editing of books,
right.
So when you're starting to work with an author, how do you get the book out of them? What are the steps of ghostwriting?
The steps of ghostwriting, very first step is to make sure that they have like Jennifer said, have a story. I have them clarify their story for me. We'll just meet for coffee or something and just chat, and I'll feel out if there actually is a story there. And then we just do a series of interviews. I pull the story out of them and then lock myself away and start to write, basically.
Now, do you go by an outline? Is that how you organize when you're writing?
I have a couple of different kinds of outlines. I analyze the transcript so that I have everything separated by subject, and then I put all the subjects together, and then we can tell where the chapters are going to be coming out of.
And typically, how long would it take to ghostwrite a book?
Depends on the type of book. Like a business book would be 7 to 9 months. Mm-hmm. But a memoir could take a year. But I always tell people, just plan on a year of your life.
Right.
Plan on a year of your life to give to me.
That's right. Well, and I'm finding now, I'm going through this process on my 7th book with working with an agent and a big publisher, that it's a much longer cycle, than self-publishing.
Right.
So it just takes a long time, folks. Just be prepared for that it takes a long time.
It takes a long time.
So how can people get a hold of each of you?
You can find me easily on my website, which is byjennifernelson.com, B-Y, by. And I have all kinds of information about how to work with me, contact me. I also ghostwrite, so I've done several ghostwriting projects. Mm-hmm. And nowadays people like content. They have businesses and blogs and websites of their own, and I also do that as well and help people create their content.
And Diane, how can they get a hold of you?
They can go online to dianefaulkner.com, and that's Faulkner. And they can also email me at diane@dianefaulkner.com, and it's Diane, one N.
Thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure. Hope that you'll get your book out somehow, some way, because all of us have a great message to share. And coming up next is our Keep the Fire Burning segment.
Hey guys, what's the Jacksonville Buzz? I'm Adrienne.
I'm Amy.
And I'm Grant.
And we're answering all your questions for where to eat, shop, and play.
And we're always on the hunt for Jacksonville's best hidden gem.
This is the Jacksonville Buzz.
Are you looking for a new employment opportunity, an employee opportunity, a company vehicle, paid holidays and vacations, a retirement plan? Please visit jackshandymanjobs.com. That's jackshandymanjobs.com to learn more and apply.
Welcome to the Keep Your Fire Burning segment. Today we're going to talk about the fact that it's 2019 and it's a new year. And so many of you might be thinking about resolutions and goals. First of all, I want to tell you that resolutions in general don't work. The research is that 3/4 of Americans who set resolutions have let them go by the wayside within a month. So resolutions aren't effective, but goals are very effective. Dominican University did a study that said that written goals with an accountability partner have an enormous impact on people's success. So how do you know what goals to set for this year? And how do you figure that out? I'm going to recommend that what you do is a personal SWOT analysis. Those of you who are familiar with the business world know that a SWOT analysis looks at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I suggest that you look at every area of your life. We all have family life, we have friends, we have a personal life, we have a professional life, we have a spiritual life, we have our fitness and our health. So you might want to do this SWOT analysis with each of those areas and really determine then what goals you want to set. I'm going to give you some examples. Strengths. There's been a lot written recently about strengths. Marcus Buckingham of the Gallup organization wrote a book called Now Discover Your Strengths. And it's been shown through the Gallup's research that when we focus on strengths, we dramatically improve our success levels. So when you're looking at strengths for the next year, if I was going to look in my professional realm, I'm a professional speaker, author, and coach, and I would want to hone my public speaking skills. So one of the ways I'm addressing that strength is I'm going to the National Speakers Association Winter Workshop in February. Weaknesses. So I'm going to look at myself from a personal standpoint, and I will tell you that my biggest weakness as far as my health and fitness is my addiction to sugar. I love sugar, and it was really tough over the holidays. I don't know about you, with all the candy and pies and sweets. And so the way that I'm handling that is I've created a healthy habits chart, and every night I check it off or give myself a star if I didn't have sugar that day. Opportunities. In my professional life, I find that there are a lot of wonderful opportunities in the Jacksonville area to network and partner with other great women who are accomplishing so much. So that's one of my goals this year, is to partner more and more with some of these very talented women. Maybe one of them is you. And then threats. Threats are the things that might impact your life or impact your business, and you need to be prepared for them. So for me, when I look at threats, I've got a new book coming out this year. I want to pay attention to what other books are in the marketplace relative to stress. My book is on women and overwhelm, so I have to be really mindful of that and make sure my positioning on it is unique. So when you're starting to look at your life, you might go through this SWOT analysis for each of the various different areas of your life and really think about what do you want to change, what activities do you want to do, what people do you want to network, and how do you want to make your life different. I'm a big believer also in visualization. So you might think about a year from now, if your life had gone exactly the way you had wanted it to go, what would be different? How would your health be? What would your weight and fitness be? How would you look? How would you feel inside? From a spiritual standpoint, are you going to church? Are you meditating? Are you doing yoga? Are you taking care of yourself? From a family standpoint, are you building stronger relationships with your loved ones, with your family members? Are you creating greater intimacy in your personal relationship? With your friends, are you scheduling time with your friends? I find one of the best things you could possibly do is to schedule out for the next couple of weeks different days of the week where you have lunches with friends, so that you make sure that you have something to look forward to each day. And then when you're starting to look at your professional life, where do you want your career to go? What kinds of professional goals do you have? If you're an entrepreneur, perhaps there's a certain level of growth you want, or a certain type of ideal client that you want to attract. Or if you're in a job, perhaps you want that next promotion, and it means that you're going to have to speak up more at meetings and let people know what you're all about. In every area of your life, you can make such a difference by having written goals and having an accountability partner. So my wish for you this coming year is that you get on track and you use this SWOT analysis and fire up your life to a greater level of success. So we hope you've enjoyed Ignite Success today. We've had some terrific guests with some great information. We've discussed mental health and women and what to do about depression. We've talked about how to get money for venture capital with Mindy Barker. And we've also learned from Diane Faulkner and Jennifer Nelson how to get started writing your book. I spoke to you a little bit about your own personal SWOT analysis and how you can use that to set up your goals for the coming year, and how accountability is going to make you that much more successful. This is a show for women, about women, and we welcome your input and feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for being on Ignite Success from Buzz TV.